Hey guys, you're here for my favorite fast power leveling activities and tricks for rank A and I suppose A plus if you want to go there. For the most part, I'm just launching an activity with any combination of player stakes only. And if you want modifiers, I recommend only doing ones up to your current power. So if you're 450 doing Grandmaster, you only add modifiers that bring enemies up to 450, aka 5 modifiers. Another tip is that Banes are the best modifier to add because they give you an additional green arrow at no enemy increase. I try to avoid threads and Screeber Banes at all cost. Should you use boons? No. But if you can afford to, because you have over an A rank, I would only use Brawler, Grenadier, and Surges like Solar Surge. And maybe Aerial Superiority if you use Fletchet Storm, Ascension, or Heat Rises. Granted that boons can help you complete activities quicker if they work well with your build, like using Unwavering Duty for precision kills with Solar Surge with just one bullet to the head. What are the best player stakes for Ultimate? Pressure Cooker, Touche, and Extinction. With these three on, you will always get A, and you don't need any negative modifiers, and you can add the boons that you want. Touche is very important in all difficulties. It's the difference between needing to add no starting ammo and no HUD, or not needing either. Second most important thing is the rewards pass 15% score bonus from the paid track. If you don't have it, you're going to have a bad time. And Bungie, I'll have you know, it doesn't make for a healthy game. Move that to a free track or just remove it altogether. On October 14th, everyone will get 300 gear for free, putting you into Master difficulty. Add the Overrun timer, Touche, no HUD, and no starting ammo stakes, whatever it takes to get you to A rank. But in reality, you don't need it to project you to be an A rank. You only need it to be B plus and maybe 30%. It really depends on how fast you're doing the activity and how much percentage of a score bonus you're going to get from doing it. So pretend when you see that projected score that 75% of a bar is going to be added on, and it may take you one activity to kind of tweak that to get it just a little bit above A. So the first thing you need to do is grab an ammo box before working on your mandatory objective if you use no starting ammo. 2 of those triangle beacons spawn and reclaim each area. There's several boxes in solo ops, and maybe just don't do it in strikes. But this is typically fine in Nightmare of Galron because there's a rally flag. No HUD is a mild annoyance for ability builds, but I have run all of these activities with no HUD before. It is doable. And it may save you time by not adding a modifier in its place. What about Brawn? Brawn is a winner in my book. Put it on when running Grandmaster content. You may die because of it, but it's actually helpful when running a lot of content. Why not use it in Ultimate? In Ultimate, we use Extinction. I would use Extinction in anything that you don't plan on dying, so not Galron. But in a majority of content where you trust yourself that you're not going to die. And the thing is that it will make the enemies so much weaker. They'll be so weak that you can't die unless you're just playing bad. And that's why I keep hearing Ultimate should be harder than what I'm showing here. It's not hard enough. But not having any revive tokens is literally the hardest modifier possible in the game. The trade-off should be this good. And I highly recommend it on Cabal's Watch and other Reclaim activities. And yes, that activity is super long, but there's a secret in here. The secret is that if you die, you still respawn once you change areas. So even a mistake won't make much of a difference for the rest of the activity, because all you have to do is change areas, and you will respawn. So let's get on to more of the activity specifics. On October 14th, you will probably want to bounce between activities with your 3 bonus drops and farm fast activities when you don't have bonus drops, because those will now drop as powerful. So you see 3 bonus drops, you do that because that's additional completion rewards. The game should have been like this from the start, not gonna lie. Cabal's Watch is the fastest reclaim. I've done it at 7 minutes and 16 seconds multiple times. Just use stakes. Bring some ad clear and some good boss damage. My machine gun with incandescent and burning ambition does well for both. Return memory with incandescent, new Malpais, mint retrograde, and I'm not afraid to run double special weapons because of all the ammo crates. My tip would be to grab a couple chests or ammo crates for the points, so you only need 2 objectives per area, and have 2 people on one objective and 1 person solo that other objective, the more healing-centric, competent player. You can get a feel for which objectives are faster. The closer ones to spawn are typically slower, and use Fireteam Finder to find people doing these activities. Don't do matchmaking. If you're at 500, then make your own group with these player stakes. If you're lower, then find a group that has someone that's 500, and pray they have the right modifiers, because it's currently faster than slogging through lower difficulties if you know what you're doing and you don't die. But if Bungie adds Power Delta on October 14th, it's probably better to stay in your own difficulty and ignore stakes like starting ammo, no HUD, and brawn. Ignore them. Add boons and modifiers that make enemies drop explosives of different kinds. There's like 5 different options there. Subtle foes, famine, and anti-surge. Focus on those modifiers if we get a power delta locked in. Now you want to do Nightmare of Galron if you can consistently one-phase him. And you can save time in the jumping section by using a Lethonym and no starting ammo, or Theodolite and Touche. But you want at least 2 people to be doing that. If you don't do it, you won't get to rally. And the other person can just die or stay at the first spell the whole time. I will show 2 different ways to get up, a slower way and a faster way. And to get this much height with a grenade launcher, you must hit jump first and then quickly fire at your feet. But as I said, you need to be one-phasing the boss or it's just not worth it. Another tip is you can hold 2 standards at once. Place one of them and have a team member do that room for you, and then you can place and do the second one. That's if you were close to both of the rooms, or you just don't trust your teammates to live. And do note that the respawn system is buggy, so you should not have your teammates respawning themselves. You should go over there and manually revive them. Another tip is you don't have to kill the unstop in your room. If you can, just go in the room and hit the bell. You can leave him alive. He's just a revive token. Crucible will give you tier 5s once you reach 450 power. PvE will drop tier 5 if you reach 1,150,000 score and are at least 450 power. This is important to reach because triple perks will save you vault space, not to mention the upgraded origin trait. K1 Logistics or Caldera for solo ops. Fallen and Hive Days for K1 Logistics is the best. For Fallen, you want to go and use an uncharged melee on the barrier that you would typically have to shoot. That way you break it instantly and save time. This is a bug. Jump, use an uncharged melee, disable the thing. Although shooting the barrier champion isn't that much of a hassle instead, if you rather do that and work on your objective, that's fine. If you can't sparrow in this area without dying, maybe you should just walk, honestly, just walk. For Hive on K1 Logistics, I recommend the Soul Invictus aspect, because popping your super will make sunspots on your throwing hammer, and that will break the boss's immune shield without needing to stand in a gunk pool, and that saves a lot of time because that gunk pool takes forever. Also, using incandescent and killing an enemy can make that sunspot, but note that the sunspot kills don't count as ability kills for objectives, or weapon kills, but it does count as kills for just kill enemy objectives. Use Mint Retrograde to break the gunk off in 1 or 2 shots in the beginning. A small bug, though, on K1 Hive Day is that clearing the gunk doesn't always give you points. So with that in mind, if you have less than 5,000 points showing when you're leaving the first area, you should just relaunch the activity because you're just going to get a B+. And one final note, is that your equipped power level doesn't affect how much score you get, and whether or not you have all new gear does not affect how much score you get, other than you just can't use Touche. And I think that's pretty much everything.
Cheese forever, Guardian.
They're right cheesed off now. The commander is on their way.
See, I told you. The Guardian is fine on their own. No need to bother Ikora.
You were right. But we'll need her back soon. I know she needs to follow up on this craziness with the Nine. I just hope she doesn't get lost